Hi, I'm Adam and welcome back to First Man Photography. In today's video, as you can see, we've got some beautiful snowy conditions and I'm going to be using, for the first time on video at least, the Canon R5. So, come with me. Before we get going today though, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. If you need a domain name, a website or an online store, make your next move with Squarespace. From time to time, we all make decisions that we're not entirely sure about and that sometimes don't make a lot of sense. And for me, one of those decisions was my car. I wanted it to be a family vehicle. I wanted it to be comfortable, good for the kids, but also be able to get to places when it was snowing. And I've accessed this fantastic place today solely because my car has four-wheel drive. And it was a very icy, steep hill I got up. So by the time I arrived, I was absolutely buzzing. Oh, I mean, look at the light behind me on the hill and the trees and the snow. It is a proper winter wonderland, but I'm unfit. Oh, so it's a bit of a breath sucker in this cold wind with all this glass and metal on my back. The challenge I'm facing is I've got a composition in mind because I know this area really well. The challenge is the sun is coming up, the tree is exposed, and if it's in the sunlight for very long, all this beautiful snow that's sitting on the trees will melt away and the shot won't be as good. So I'm just gonna power it up this hill to get there and hopefully get a shot. I'm absolutely loving this though, just look at it. Fantastic. Right, I've made it, and the feeling I'm experiencing right now is just fantastic. I've got this whole hill to myself and this tree and this beautiful dry stone wall forming my composition. If you can see the tree behind me, there's not as much snow on it as some of the trees down back in the woods, but it's still enough. It's still got some beautiful detail. It's stuck to the trunk on the right hand side of the tree, and I've now got a really beautiful soft light coming from over there. We're still in golden hour in the morning and it's just fantastic. So just very quickly before I talk it through, I'm going to capture another shot. There's also a little pheasant sitting on the wall. You may hear him or her call in a minute, but that's captured in the image as well. This Canon R5 has a 50 megapixel sensor, so it's still going to capture loads of detail. There's not a breath of wind, so those branches are perfectly still. Did you hear that? So it's just so exciting. And normally, when I come to this location, I would go through that gap in the wall, but over on the left-hand side of the frame, next to the wall, there's just blades of grass coming through and the snow is pristine. So I did not want to walk on that, and as a result, I've had to trek right across this, which was hard going. Very hard going, but the reward, oh, the reward feels very special. The reason I have the tripod high up on the neck here is because hear those pheasants. I love the wall, and that's forming leading line coming in from the bottom left hand side of the screen, but I'm high up because that's coming from the bottom, and then I want to see the hills in the distance, and if I go down too low there, like you can see, the hills sort of disappear. So I've got the tree sort of sitting on the rule of thirds on the top right hand corner rule of thirds. The only problem with the composition is this bottom right hand side of the image, because it isn't the best looking part of the image and it's not necessarily even forming a line from the bottom right. So I think what I'll do in post-processing is reduce the luminance maybe down in that part of the image. I'm not sure, because it may work as a really beautiful bright image. It's just fantastic though. So settings, I'm at f11 and I'm focusing on the tree, keeping it really simple. I'm at ISO 100, I'm at 1/40th of a second as the sun pokes through even more and lights up those trees. And that, I think, could be the one. There's still some colour in the sky as well, some lovely yellows. Just a fantastic moment that I feel exceptionally grateful for. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I just flew the drone into the tree, as you can see here. I have thankfully got it back, but what an absolute calamity. If you're worried about the tree, don't be, that's absolutely fine, but my drone has pretty much got every rotor blade broken. And I knew the tree was in the way, I knew it. And then rather than stopping the drone, which is the sensible thing to do, I tried to raise it up over the tree because I thought it would make a cool shot. And then it got stuck. And I was throwing snowballs at it, which didn't work, other than showering the drone with snow. I then took the ball head off my tripod and threw that. I gave the tree a little shake, it didn't fall out, and then I threw this again, and then that disappeared into the snow, which I just did not think about at all, so I lost that for a minute. I then thought, well, sod it, I'm just gonna keep trying, so eventually I launched my whole tripod up at the drone because it was just dangling on a little branch at the edge. Thankfully I didn't miss that time, and it came down with the tripod, and then after probably about 20 minutes of searching, I finally found the tripod head. So, so it's kind of a mixture of relief, feeling like an idiot, and I'm also sorry that I didn't film more of it, but I thought I would tell you about it anyway because, oh, these videos, they do not come easy. Oh, I really need some help. So I'm going to talk a bit about the camera in a minute, but before we do, as you know, this video is sponsored by Squarespace. Now, Squarespace is just the perfect place for any photographer at any level to make a website. The reason I love it is because you don't need any technical knowledge. You can use one of their beautiful templates, upload some of your images and a bit of your text, and very, very quickly you're going to have a unique and beautiful looking website that just works, and it works on all of your devices, and it sort of shrinks down to phone size automatically without any thought from yourself. So I've been using Squarespace for years. They've never let me down. And then if you want to, you can upgrade it to an online store and start selling things. Why not try it out as well? Because you get a free trial. So go to squarespace.com to start the free trial today. And then if you've put your website together and you like what you've done, use the offer code FIRSTMAN to get 10% off your first purchase. Right, so let me just spin around because this is just a beautiful scene. Look at the snow on those trees in the distance. This is a little spot that I've scouted out before, and it really pays to scout scenes out because I've never been quite happy with what I've captured here, but today it's just looking great. Sometimes that tree causes me problems and I don't like it in the frame, but today it's just looking beautiful. It's leaning over, it's got that snow on it, and that's going to form part of the composition. But I'm not going to talk you too much through the composition because you'll see it at the end. It's just these rocks, the trees and everything going on. But I want to talk a little bit about the camera. This has been sent to me by Hire a Camera. They're not sponsoring the video, but I'm going to start working with them a little bit to do reviews. If you want to hire gear, it's a good thing to do, to play around with different techniques and things and different cameras, but also they're just a great company. So here I have the Canon R5 and the RF 15 to 35, I think it is. Yeah, f2.8, fantastic. I mean, all lenses in this RF range so far that I've used are breathtaking, actually. The camera, my initial thoughts are, it's a great camera, but I'm not particularly excited because I think the problem with all cameras today is that they're all good. I don't know if you remember the days when we used to get a new phone and you'd be really excited because it would do something new. Now phones just all do the same thing and they're really not that interesting when you get a new one. You don't get a new one as often, do you? And that's the case with cameras now, I think. They're just all great. It shoots amazing video, it looks incredible, the images are good quality, and it just does it all, really. And what more would you want? The only thing that I'm kind of feeling like at the moment is that the image quality is not as good as that Fujifilm GFX 100 or the 100S, and they're not far off being the same price. So for a landscape photographer, I'm going to need to play with it a little bit more, and I will be doing a review in the next week or so. Anyway, let's now take this image. So I'm just starting to lose the light, so I'm going to take it. I've already taken one. I'm at, what am I at for that? F11, ISO 100, 100th of a second because it is quite bright. You don't need to bracket or anything. The dynamic range is nice on this camera. I've got that tree in it, all these rocks. I'm focusing on the rock. I just love the trees in the distance though. They just look fantastic. A lovely wintry scene. The snow on the rocks looks beautiful as well. So yeah, we'll see how it looks. One of the things that I get really sick of hearing about is people who don't want you shooting in the so-called honeypot locations. Now, I just hate that phrase altogether, but it's just a stupid thing that grumpy old landscape photographers say. I'm not sure why, whether they're jealous or they're pretentious or what, but when you're stood in a position like this, and this is a well-photographed scene, you should not be thinking or being put off by the negativity that someone else is putting out into the world. I think part of the secret is, or at least the tactic I use, is that when I'm stood here taking photographs, I'm doing that at the time for myself. But if I'm thinking from a more commercial point of view, or if I just want people to like it, I'm not taking photographs really for the pleasure of other landscape photographers. They're not my target market for my actual photographs. My book, the target market for that is not landscape photographers necessarily, it's everybody. The images that we create, particularly in honeypot locations or popular locations, are usually images that everybody likes, and that your chances of selling an image from these locations is much higher. So just, you shouldn't be put off. And I've never shot this scene in the snow before, and what I'm looking at the moment, on a more positive note, is just absolutely beautiful. The heather in front of me here, which is covered in snow, the grass down at the bottom of the cliff there looks fantastic with that snow and the sweeping grass. The little pond is frozen. Then we go up to the hill in the distance. There's still some soft light coming through those clouds, and I think it's a beautiful scene. Like I say, it's a popular location, it's well photographed, but I don't care. I just don't care, because I'm loving this moment right now, and I've never photographed it in the snow before. One thing that is difficult about this frame is that the contrast between the dark undergrowth, like the heather, and the gorse, and the snow it's very high contrast, so it's very busy, although it's beautiful. So maybe when I'm processing it, that's something I need to bear in mind. The lower part of the image is actually very monochromatic as well, very black and white, or brown and white. But then when we go above the horizon, there's some beautiful blues in the sky. So I think it's going to be an interesting image to finish the day, and I'll show you that in a minute if I just make sure. I have taken it already, but let's do another one because the light's looking good. Yeah, I think that's nice. I'll show you that in a minute. But rather than smashing the like button, which would be a bit daft, just press it really gently, because that's really going to help me out. So yeah, as ever, check out my book, and I'll see you on another one very, very soon. Bye.